Chapter 54. I've always been a low-key person. Zhao Wuji's expression changed slightly. With Yunjin's personality, who knows what she might say? She might even push for Gu Jinghong to be executed on the spot, although Zhao Wuji forced Gu Jinghong to confess. This second disciple was someone he personally cultivated with great effort. He never had the intention for Gu Jinghong to die because of this. The reason he chose to have Gu Jinghong take responsibility was that if Ye Danxia were truly deemed someone with evil aura, she could only be sentenced to death with no way out. But Gu Jinghong's actions, in contrast, might still be salvageable.
I believe.
Zhao Wuji began to object on the spot. But for the first time ever, Lin Fei took the initiative to speak on behalf of a disciple. He directly said,
"What this young girl said is entirely reasonable. Since she is the victim, it's only natural she should have a say in the punishment. What's more, she only wants to say a few words."
My little disciple has endured countless grievances since entering the sect. And now, she's not even allowed to speak.
Lin Ya said coldly.
Let's not forget, Xiaojing almost died from this scheme.
Zhao Wuji's expression shifted repeatedly. At this moment, he truly felt like things were slipping completely out of his control. In the past, his greatest rival was always Lin Ya. Lin Ya was a genius in the sword path. Over the years, even with the countless pills provided by his own father, Zhao Wuji was never able to surpass. Lin Ya, even several of the grand elders, said that the position of the next sect master should belong to Lin Ya, and no one else. Zhao Wuji had always held himself in high esteem. Yet he was constantly suppressed by Lin Ya. How could he tolerate that? Fortunately, later on, he became the new sect master, while Lin Ya became a cripple. Though the injury was sustained for the sake of the sect can't possibly keep a cripple as a peak master. He waited and waited until now. In just 3 months, if Lin Ya lost the upcoming sect-wide competition, he will be stripped of his peak master position. By then, Zhao Wuji can finally avenge the humiliation of being constantly overshadowed in the past. Over the years, he had both openly and covertly suppressed Lin Ya, something that many witnessed. He knew some were secretly helping Lin Ya out of dissatisfaction. But that didn't matter. A mere Lin Ya wasn't enough to make anyone openly defy him. He would take his time. Eventually, Lin Ya would be rendered powerless with no chance to rise again. But ever since that 5-element root girl joined the sect, everything seemed to have changed. First it was Chen Hao, then Ruan Jun, and now Gu Jinghong. Even Danxia's reputation was completely ruined. Though no one had accused him outright, Zhao Wuji knew that seeds of doubt took place. People's dissatisfaction with him was clearly growing. Even Lin Fei, who had always been neutral and stayed out of sect affairs, had now spoken up for Yunjing. If this continued, wouldn't Yunjing eventually overturn everything? Zhao Wuji's expression darkened. No, he couldn't allow her to overturn anything. 5-element roots cultivate extremely slowly. No matter how clever Yunjing may be, it's all meaningless in the face of absolute strength. 3 months from now, Jun'er will personally kill her.
Sect Master, don't look so grim. Why don't you hear what I have to say first?
Kan Yunjing said lazily. She couldn't bear to let Gu Jinghong die just like that.
Xiaojing, speak.
Lin Ya said directly. Yunjing grinned cheekily.
Actually, even though I haven't been in the sect for long, I believe everyone knows me quite well.
Everyone nodded. Yes, very well indeed. Vengeful, dramatic, and a master at acting, Yunjing continued.
I've always been low-key, gentle and kind. Most importantly, I'm also very beautiful.
Everyone. What? Do you even hear yourself right now?
Emotion points plus 50. Emotion points plus 10. Emotion points plus 30.
The notifications kept chiming, and Yunjing smiled even more brightly.
As such a good person, I prefer to repay evil with virtue. Besides, since I wasn't actually harmed this time, I don't think senior brother Wu should be executed.
She actually said that. Not only Zhao Wuji and Ye Danxia, even Lin Ya was stunned. But the next moment, he suddenly understood. Ah, he got it. His little disciple must be brewing some wicked scheme. It had to be that. Did anyone actually expect her to truly repay evil with good? Gu Jinghong was also a bit dazed as he looked at Yunjin. He almost got her killed. And this woman was actually saving him. Seriously, Zhao Wuji's eyes lit up.
Oh, then what do you suggest?
Yunjin smiled sweetly.
The dead can't repay the wrongs they've committed. Only the living have the chance to make amends, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Zhao Wuji nodded repeatedly.
I didn't expect you to be so understanding.
But while he can be spared from execution, punishment must still be served.
Yunjin pointed at Gu Jinghong.
I only have one request. He must serve as my servant for the next 3 months. I promise not to kill him, but other than that, he must accept any punishment without resistance.
Yunjin still clearly remembered how Gu Jinghong tormented her in her past life. Now that he had fallen into her hands, it was time to pay it back, little by little. 3 months as a servant, and subject to any punishment. Zhao Wuji's face shifted slightly. Such a demand would be humiliating for Gu Jinghong. Yunjin raised an eyebrow.
That's my only request. Otherwise, slandering me as someone with evil aura and attempting to have me executed, such crimes are clear as day. According to sect rules, that's a capital offense. If you insist on shielding him, I rather burn my favors and summon Sword Elder. I won't let it go.
She pulled out the Sword Elder card again, and Zhao Wuji's expression darkened even more. He was irritated but had no way to refute her, since she was the victim. Ultimately, this incident had occurred because Gu Jinghong was careless. Now, Zhao Wuji also felt annoyed with this troublesome disciple who had backed him into a corner. He looked directly at Gu Jinghong.
Jinghong, what do you think about this matter?
Gu Jinghong clenched his teeth. Death, or abandoning his pride. After a long silence, his once straight back bent low.
I'm willing to be Yunqin's servant for 3 months.
Zhao Wuji had expected this. He glanced around.
Yunjing is the victim, and this was her proposal. Jinghong agreed to it. Would you all say this is fair?
Since the request came from Yunjing herself, no one objected. Lin Ya also kept quiet. Only then did Zhao Wuji coldly snort.
Then so be it.
Wait a minute.
Yunjing said again.
What now?
Zhao Wuji looked at her irritably.
If you're regretting it, it's already too late.
Regret? Why would I regret?
Yunjing let out a mischievous chuckle.
Having the proud senior brother Wu reduced to a dog on a leash, I'm quite satisfied.
A dog on a leash. Everyone turned to look at Gu Jinghong, whose face had turned a sickly shade of green. Suddenly, a shared thought emerged among them. Given how deeply Yunjing holds grudges, he might be better off dead. Yunjing continued bluntly.
My current cultivation isn't strong enough. How can I ensure that senior brother Wu will obediently follow my orders? I want to form a 3-month master-servant contract with him. I'll be the master, he'll be the servant.
Chapter 55. The token isn't suitable.
Ahem.
Lin Ya coughed lightly twice.
It's rare for Xiaojin to be this thorough. Since there's a difference in strength between the two, a contract would indeed be safer.
At this point, things had already escalated. Zhao Wuji couldn't be bothered to argue, and simply agreed gruffly.
After the ceremony, I'll personally help the 2 of you establish the contract. Will that do?
Sure, such generosity, headmaster.
Yunjin beamed. Lin Fei glanced at Yunjin, then suddenly smiled and said,
So your name is Yunjing. For what happened today, I was manipulated and nearly caused you to suffer unjustly. After the ceremony, come find me at the Spirit Beast Pavilion. Feel free to choose any spirit beast you can form a contract with.
Lin Fei made a direct promise. Everyone practically turned green with envy. After all of the spirit beasts in the entire Tianxing sect were housed in the Spirit Beast Pavilion, and the number of beasts was far fewer than the number of disciples. Usually, Lin Fei treated these spirit beasts like precious treasures. Disciples who wanted to form a contract had to go through multiple rounds of testing. As a result, the number of disciples with a contracted beast was extremely limited. But now, he not only offered to give one to Yunjin, but even said she could choose freely. This was practically a gift from heaven. Lin Fei didn't even glance at the crowd's reactions, and simply returned to the Spirit Beast Pavilion. All eyes filled with envy and jealousy turned toward Yunjin. Yunjin looked a little embarrassed.
Don't stare at me like that. It's not my fault I naturally attract people's affection. That's something I really can't change.
Emotion points plus 60. Emotion points plus 30. Emotion points plus 500.
emotion points plus 500. Yunjin's eyes lit up instantly. Her simplification system was currently a beginner system. Before upgrading, the cap for a single emotion points was 500. Who was it? Who could be so kind-hearted? The moment she was short on emotion points, they came bearing a big gift. Yunjin quickly locked onto the source. She looked warmly at the bitter and resentful Ye Danxia, speaking in a gentle voice.
Densai, you've suffered today. It's not like you intended to frame me, yet somehow you ended up taking the fall. That's really unfair to you.
Yunjin spoke so sincerely that Ye Danxia was momentarily stunned.
Don't worry.
Kang Yunjin patted her chest with a vow.
After I meet with Elder Ningfei and form a contract with a spirit beast, I will definitely...
Definitely what? Hope flickered in Ye Danxia's eyes. Was Yunjin going to put in a good word for her with Elder Ningfei? Maybe also help her get a spirit beast too? If so, the suffering she endured today might just be barely worth it. But if Yunjin thought that would win her favor, she was sorely mistaken. The hatred from these past few days was engraved in her heart. One day she would have her revenge. Ye Danxia was clenching her teeth with silent fury. When she heard Yunjin cheerfully say,
I'll definitely bring my spirit beast to show off in front of you. I mean display proudly. We're good sisters after all. Watching me get better day by day, I know you'll be happy for me. With that joy even your injuries might stop hurting.
Yunjin spoke with great enthusiasm. Ye Danxia instantly felt like coughing up blood. Was this something a human being would say?
What's wrong, Densai? Why the pale face? Don't tell me you're not happy for me.
Yunjin asked with concern. Ye Danxia ground her teeth.
Happy? I'm very happy for you. That's a relief. I was worried you would get jealous. I'll make sure to bring my spirit beast to find you every single day.
Yunjin said brightly. How could she not go find her? Just now, Ye Danxia had inadvertently contributed another 500 points of emotion points. If Yunjin chatted with her daily, wouldn't that be a steady stream of income? What a great deal! Zhao Wuji looked at the blood-stained, trembling Ye Danxia, and couldn't help but feel a bit of pity. He handed over some healing pills, and had someone pass them to her. Ye Danxia gratefully glanced at Zhao Wuji and quickly consumed the pill. The medicine didn't need to be specially refined, it worked on its own. And she immediately felt much better. Once she could stand steadily again, Zhao Wuji announced.
The earlier events disrupted the entrance ceremony. Now that everything's resolved, let's proceed. The second segment is the distribution of disciple tokens and a set of beginner spiritual tools.
The same disciple from earlier approached once more, holding a tray. On the tray lay 2 tokens engraved with the words, Tianxing Sect, along with 2 identical storage pouches, likely containing the spiritual tools. Zhao Wuji said,
These tokens symbolize your identity as disciples. The white token represents the lowest cultivation level, qi refining stage. Each month, you can bring it to the sect affairs hall to receive corresponding resources. When your cultivation increases to foundation establishment stage, report it and exchange for a green token. Your monthly rewards will increase accordingly. Now, the 2 of you receive your tokens and tools.
Just as he finished, Zhao Wuji instinctively glanced at Yunjin. He had a bit of PTSD now, worried that she might shout another, wait. This time though, she didn't. Could he finally breathe easy for once? Yunjin looked back at Zhao Wuji and gave him an apologetic smile. Honestly, she wasn't someone who liked stirring up trouble. Truly, she wasn't. But this time, Yunjin raised her voice with a solemn expression.
Wait.
Zhao Wuji numbly looked at her, a little surprised, but not really.
It's like this. I can't accept this token.
Yunjin said seriously.
Why not?
Zhao Wuji frowned. He was beginning to get irritated. There was absolutely nothing wrong with this token. Was Yunjin seriously trying to make a fuss over this too?
My little junior sister really can't take that token.
Yue Zhao added calmly.
That color just doesn't suit her.
Si Wanning said. Beaming brightly, Yu Songnian muttered.
Agreed.
Sect Master, better give Xiaojing a different one.
Lin Ya said with obvious delight. He had deliberately stayed silent earlier, and even helped conceal Yunjin's cultivation, all for this very moment.
What is your heavenly sword peak trying to pull?
Zhao Wuji narrowed his eyes.
The colors of disciple tokens are clearly stated in the sect regulations. Are you trying to challenge that now? My second disciple had already been punished. Do you really think you can keep pushing and twisting the rules? What's next? Changing the sect laws?
His voice rang out loudly. Several other peak masters' expressions shifted slightly. Heavenly Sword Peak really was a little too bold. A mistake is one thing, but trying to take advantage of the situation, to interfere with the sect's laws, was overstepping.
Sect Master, you have a very vivid imagination.
Lin Ya sighed, though a smile danced on his lips.
All I meant was, the white token isn't suitable for Xiaojin. She should have the green one.
The green token is for Foundation Establishment disciples. She just joined. How could she possibly?
Zhao Wuji began to scold, but suddenly, his expression changed dramatically. A surge of powerful spiritual force swept from him, probing at Yunjing. Yunjing didn't flinch nor retreat. She stood there calmly, letting him check. In fact, it wasn't just Zhao Wuji. Several other peak masters were also casting their spiritual sense toward her. Check all you want. If no one investigated, Yunjing would have been disappointed. This was the moment she had been waiting for. Her chance to show off in front of everyone. Chapter 56. Manual Pavilion. Lin Ya only casted a simple concealment. Without careful investigation, one might not notice anything. But now that Yunjing is being thoroughly examined, with Zhao Wuji's cultivation, he reacted instantly. His expression shifted rapidly, becoming as colorful as a dye shop. This happened in just a few days. This Yunjing had already entered Foundation Establishment stage, and her cultivation was extremely stable, without the slightest hint of being forcibly elevated through medicinal means. How is this possible for a 5-element root cultivator? Ye Danxiai started cultivating at the same time, yet she only reached the second level of qi refining. And that was solely due to her exceptional celestial spiritual root. And Yunjing, while others barely broke through a minor level, she directly broke through a major realm. Is that even reasonable?
Sect Master, this token isn't suitable for me, right?
Yunjin said with a beaming smile. Many onlookers' expressions changed as they looked at Yunjin. Anyone here with a higher cultivation could easily uncover her true level, with a careful probe. Who wouldn't be shaken by someone reaching Foundation Establishment in under 10 days? Just look at how happy Yunjin was, and you can understand how flustered they felt. Due to her lower cultivation, Ye Danxia was unaware of what had changed with Yunjin. All she saw were the sudden shifts in everyone's expressions. She panicked. What exactly happened? A vague suspicion arose in Ye Danxia's heart, but she didn't want to believe it. With a legendary celestial spiritual root, regardless of what heavenly treasures Yunjin may have used in secret, it is unthinkable that she would fall so far behind. Absolutely impossible.
Xiaojin, you shouldn't be so willful.
Ye Danxia stared hard at Yunjin. Yunjin must be growing overconfident. It's impossible for her to have reached Foundation Establishment. Yunjin blinked. Suddenly, she unleashed her full strength, releasing all of her Foundation Establishment spiritual power. Ye Danxia, who was closest to her, was shaken and stumbled backward, falling to the ground. Ye Danxia looked at Yunjin in disbelief. That overwhelming pressure.
Densai, I'm so sorry I couldn't hold back for a moment. Did I scare you?
Yunjin gently helped her up.
Apologies, I just entered Foundation Establishment and haven't mastered controlling my power yet. If you're upset, Densai, once you reach Foundation Establishment, you can intimidate me back.
As she spoke, Yunjin suddenly looked troubled.
Densai, your progress is far too slow. By the time you reach Foundation Establishment, I may already be at Golden Core or Nascent Soul stage.
Yunjin looked at her with great sincerity.
We're good sisters. Such a big difference in cultivation isn't appropriate. Maybe the sect master isn't very good at teaching. How about this, you and your second senior brother both become my servants, and I'll have my master guide you. Maybe your cultivation will catch up to mine.
Yunjin's words were cheap and wicked. The disciples of Tianxing sect were already used to Yunjin's sarcastic tone. Seeing Ye Danxia's expression, many even felt a bit of sympathy. Having such a good sister must be Ye Danxia's great fortune. Ye Danxia's lips trembled with anger. She couldn't help but cast a pleading look at Zhao Wuji. But Zhao Wuji's expression wasn't much better. He said coldly.
Yunjing has indeed reached foundation establishment.
The moment those words were spoken, the verdict was final. Everyone's gazes toward Yunjing immediately changed. Not even 10 days. Foundation establishment. Inhuman. Yunjing looked gratefully at Zhao Wuji. C. She knew Zhao Wuji was a good person. As soon as he made the announcement, her emotion points started surging again. Previously, her emotion points could be counted on one hand. But now, she, Yunjing, was once again a rich woman.
Since the sect master already confirmed it, let's change the token.
Lin Ya said with some schadenfreude. Zhao Wuji's face darkened, and he ordered someone to fetch a new token. When the green token arrived, this time, Yunjing didn't shout, "Wait," and the ceremony proceeded smoothly. Completing the ceremony should have been a matter of course. But, Zhao Wuji, for some reason, felt as though he survived a heavenly tribulation. Even if he was going through a heavenly tribulation, it might not be as exhausting as today. Very soon, the other disciples also received their identity tokens and spiritual tools according to their ranks. Zhao Wuji said in a calm voice,
Qi refining disciples have one chance to choose a Huang level technique from the sect. Foundation establishment disciples have one chance to choose a Huang level cultivation method and one Huang level technique. I will now lead you to the manual pavilion. Cherish this free opportunity. If you wish to study more techniques in the future, you will need to exchange for them with sect contribution points. Contribution points are earned by completing sect tasks, which are difficult and not something you new disciples can easily handle.
Yunjing's eyes lit up when she heard this. Oh, a free exchange opportunity.
If any of you still have questions, you may ask them now.
Zhao Wuji paused, then reluctantly added. This part was always included in every ceremony. But this time, he truly didn't want to say this line. After all, there was a Yunjing who often said surprising things. Sure enough. As soon as he finished speaking, Yunjing eagerly said,
Sect Master, I have a question.
Ask.
This time, Yunjing had no intention of bantering, she had serious business to handle.
Sect Master, now that I'm in Foundation Establishment stage, can I still claim the Qi refining stage's free technique as well?
Zhao Wuji was silent for a moment, then said,
Yes. You may receive one Huang level cultivation method and two Huang level techniques.
Yunjing asked again.
If I don't need the Huang level cultivation method, can I exchange it for 3 Huang level techniques?
Her Xuanjue had already been upgraded to Foundation Establishment stage, and didn't need another cultivation method. Before Zhao Wuji could speak, Lin Ya grew anxious and quickly said,
Xuanjue can only be used during the Qi refining stage. After reaching Foundation Establishment, you must change to a proper cultivation method.
I think Xuanjue is pretty good.
Yunjing said earnestly.
After all, it suits all elemental attributes, and I just happen to have 5 element roots.
Beat.
Lin Ya was about to say more. Zhao Wuji smiled and said,
Lin Ya, your disciple, has always been opinionated. In this one's view, let her be. Yunjing, this matter is approved. You may choose 3 Huang level techniques.
For once, Zhao Wuji finally felt a bit of satisfaction. Don't want to switch your cultivation method. Very good. He wanted to see just how far a disciple, with the worst 5-element root, and the worst cultivation method could really go.
Thank you, Sect Master.
Yunjing's thanks this time were quite heartfelt. She planned to choose 3 Huang-level sword techniques. Very soon, she would meet the prerequisites for learning the Azure Lotus Sword technique. This time, Zhao Wuji had truly done her a great favor. Zhao Wuji gave a faint smile.
The other disciples may leave. New disciples, follow me. I will take you to the manual pavilion to choose your techniques.
Everyone acknowledged. Yue Zhao and the others glanced at Yunjing with a bit of concern, but could only leave for now. This trip to the manual pavilion included only Zhao Wuji, the 10 peak masters, and these 15 new disciples. Chapter 57. Today, I am the most mature and level-headed one. After crossing more than half of Tianxing sect, the group finally arrived in front of a building. It was a 3-story wooden structure that, from the outside, even appeared a bit worn, especially with the golden sunlight pouring down, enveloping the entire building. It radiated a strong sense of age and time. Yunjin looked up. At the top of the building, the two characters' manual pavilion shimmered brilliantly. This manual pavilion housed all of Tianxing sect's classics and records, forming the very foundation of the sect. It is of utmost importance. Corresponding to that importance was the person guarding the manual pavilion. That turned out to be an old man with a full head of white hair, clearly aged and frail. He had casually pulled over a chair, and was lying there leisurely with his eyes closed, seemingly resting, completely devoid of any threatening air. However, though he appeared to be resting, not a single peak master dared to move. Niyai? Afraid that Yunjin would suddenly go crazy at this moment, even gave her a warning glance. Yunjin, what's that supposed to mean? It's not like she's the type to go insane at every moment. That look from master was too hurtful.
Elder Ming is resting. We'll wait here.
Zhao Wuji said. No one dared to speak and obediently waited in silence. The blazing sun beat down. These newly initiated disciples weren't much different from ordinary mortals. After standing for an hour or two, they were already dripping with sweat. Even Ye Danxia was starting to struggle. She couldn't help but glance at Yunjin, hoping she would step up and say something. Yunjin's expression remained unchanged. What a joke. She's at foundation establishment stage. How could she be afraid of standing a bit longer? And that elder Ming who guarded the manual pavilion was no ordinary figure. Yunjin liked to cause chaos, sure. But she didn't have a death wish. Why would she go looking for trouble? She heard that elder Ming favored mature and level-headed disciples the most. Yunjin will be the very embodiment of maturity. No one can compete with her. After all, she still had her sights set on the manual pavilion's texts. Seeing that Yunjin didn't look like she was about to stir up trouble, Ye Danxia endured a bit longer. She took a healing pill earlier, but the recovery wasn't instant. Right now, her whole body still ached terribly. It was almost unbearable. She thought, with how much master cared for her, asking a question shouldn't be a big deal. She walked over to Zhao Wuji and softly asked,
Master, how much longer is Elder Ming going to sleep? If he doesn't wake up, are we going to keep waiting here?
Zhao Wuji glanced at Ye Danxia, his brow slightly furrowed.
It hasn't even been that long, and you're already impatient.
There was a hint of disappointment in his eyes. Ye Danxia's heart trembled. She had just casually asked a question. It wasn't like she insisted on waking Elder Ming up. Why did master look so upset?
Keep waiting.
Zhao Wuji reprimanded. Ye Danxia felt wronged but didn't dare say another word, and obediently stepped back. At that moment, Elder Ming stretched lazily and slowly opened his eyes. Although he looked quite old, his eyes were unexpectedly bright and sharp. By now, it was already past noon. And 3 full hours had passed since they arrived to stand. Many disciples' legs were trembling, and they were barely holding on through sheer willpower. Now that Elder Ming finally woke up, everyone couldn't help but feel a wave of relief.
Elder Ming,
Zhao Wuji respectfully cupped his hands.
these are the new disciples. Among them, my disciple. Ye Danxia has a celestial spirit root, seen once in a century. Though the others have average aptitude, they are still diligent.
Zhao Wuji deliberately mentioned Ye Danxia by name. Though Ye Danxia didn't know Elder Ming's identity, she knew that he must hold a prestigious position. Otherwise, why would master, the sect leader himself, bow so willingly? Ye Danxia quickly stepped forward and respectfully said,
Disciple Ye Danxia.
Elder Ming only gave her a brief glance, then looked at Yunjin with interest.
This young girl is rather interesting. Clearly she has a 5-element root. Yet her cultivation is already at the foundation establishment stage. Did you already started cultivating when you entered the sect?
Elder Ming actively asked about Yunjin. Zhao Wuji's expression shifted slightly. Lin Ya was delighted, and frantically signaled to Yunjin with his eyes. Yunjin wasn't stupid. She stepped forward and respectfully said,
Disciple was not cultivating before entering the sect. It's just that the sect's Xuanjue technique seemed to be very compatible with my 5-element root. So when I practiced it, My progress felt incredibly fast, advancing by leaps and bounds.
Elder Ming immediately became interested.
Oh, Xuanjue, if I remember correctly, this attribute, less Xuanjue, is usually used for new disciples because it's easy to practice. But its greatest drawback is that it absorbs all 5 elements evenly, which makes it rather inefficient.
But disciple happens to have a 5-element root, and Xuanjue evenly absorbs the elements, which is quite suitable.
Yunjin respectfully replied. Elder Ming's interest deepened.
Even if it's a good fit, it's still only a low-tier, Huang-level technique. That alone shouldn't lead to such rapid cultivation.
Perhaps this Xuanjue and this disciple were fated.
Yunjin said casually.
For example, when this disciple recently broke through to Foundation establishment, disciple somehow gained an insight, and it felt like this disciple naturally evolved Xuejue to the Foundation establishment siege.
Xuanjue evolved to the Foundation establishment stage. Lin Ya was completely stunned. How did he not know about this? Zhao Wuji's face instantly darkened. Seeing Elder Ming's astonished look, he scolded.
Evolving a cultivation technique. That's not something a new disciple like you should be talking about. Yunjin, don't speak nonsense.
Yunjin remained calm and unbothered, showing a mature and steady demeanor.
Disciple does not know whether this mysterious insight is truly accurate. So, this disciple would like to ask Elder Ming to help examine the new Xuanjue, to see if there are any problems.
Elder Ming's eyes glinted slightly. He said,
Step forward.
Amid the many different gazes of the crowd, Yunjin walked up to Elder Ming with mature and steady steps. A flicker of admiration passed through Elder Ming's eyes. Regardless of whether the cultivation technique was reliable, just her steady demeanor made him like her. It reminded him of Lin Ya's first disciple, Yue Zhao. That child, Yue Zhao, was also likable. With a wave of his hand, Elder Ming set up a sound-isolating barrier, then looked kindly at Yunjin.
Child, do you know Yue Zhao?
Yunjin respectfully replied.
He is my eldest senior brother.
Elder Ming's eyes immediately lit up.
So you're fellow disciples. No wonder you both act so composed. Remember to keep that calm and humble nature. Only then can you go far in the cultivation world. Never be like some people who start bragging everywhere once they have a little success.
Disciple will remember your teachings and will never engage in boastful behaviors.
Yunjin replied respectfully. Elder Ming was very pleased. Tianxing sect needs more disciples like this.
Now, go ahead and tell me about the Xuanjue you've comprehended.
Elder Ming said. He didn't actually think Yunjin had evolved Xuanjue to the Foundation establishment stage. Maybe she only gained some inspiration. But that was fine. He liked this level-headed child. It's no big deal, he can just help her perfect it. Chapter 50, Evolving a Cultivation Technique.
I look forward to your guidance, Elder Ming.
Yunjin respectfully bowed, then began reciting the Foundation establishment stage. Xuanjue that was derived by the system. The people watching from outside. How to put it. Although they couldn't hear exactly what was being said. Just looking at Yunjin's pretentious posture, and Elder Ming's satisfied expression, really made one feel angry. Zhao Wuji's face was even darker than before. He knew Elder Ming's temperament well. Someone as unruly as Yunjin definitely wouldn't be someone Elder Ming takes a liking to. On the other hand, Danxia, who is obedient and sweet, should have been the type of disciple Elder Ming liked best. But unexpectedly, this Yunjin was exactly like her eldest senior brother. Useless at anything else, but an expert at putting on an act. Zhao Wuji was so furious, he almost wanted to rush forward and tell Elder Ming not to be fooled. This girl wasn't like this at all. But knowing Elder Ming's character, he probably wouldn't believe it. He would most likely think the person speaking was petty and narrow-minded. Zhao Wuji could only grit his teeth and endure. Wait and see. This Yunjin's true nature is just like that. He didn't believe she could keep up the act forever. No need to look too far in the future. Take now, for example. She actually had the audacity to boast that she evolved the Xuanjue technique to the Foundation establishment stage. Elder Ming hated liars the most. He would probably see through Yunjin's true colors soon enough. Zhao Wuji stared at the two of them, waiting for Elder Ming to get angry. Yunjin began reciting in an orderly and composed manner. At first, Elder Ming's expression was still rather casual. The beginning didn't seem to have any issues. This Yunjin might really have some talent. Let's keep listening. It seemed even more interesting. Let's keep listening. Elder Ming suddenly slapped his thigh. This section could actually be handled like that. This was simply brilliant. He immediately straightened up and listened with full attention, afraid to miss a single word. Though those outside couldn't hear what the two were saying, looking at Elder Ming's suddenly focused expression, they started getting anxious. What on earth was Yunjin saying? Could it be that she really evolved a foundation, establishment-level technique? That's impossible. Soon, Yunjin finished reciting the technique. Then she respectfully took a step back, her eyes filled with trust and anticipation.
Elder Ming, this is as far as I can evolve it. This technique surely still contains many flaws. I ask Elder Ming to please guide me.
Seeing her say that, Elder Ming couldn't help but smile. Very good, very good. Not only was this disciple extremely gifted, she was also humble. At that moment, his favorability towards Yunjin shot up.
Since you said this, I shall point out a few errors for you. Your technique has many ingenious elements that are truly praiseworthy. But you've made mistakes in some of the foundational areas. This stems from a lack of solid basics. In the future, come here often. I'll help guide you in matters of cultivation techniques.
Elder Ming said. Yunjin looked very moved.
Thank you, Elder Ming.
Those supposed flaws were of course ones she had intentionally recited incorrectly. Comrades, take note of this. When dealing with a superior, if you don't let them find a single fault, how will they feel a sense of accomplishment? For example, she demonstrated ability, while leaving room for improvement. This is the way of the workplace? Whether the superior likes you isn't certain, but Elder Ming clearly felt very fulfilled now. He carefully pointed out some basic issues for Yunjin, and his gaze grew increasingly appreciative. If this disciple wasn't already claimed by Lin Ya, he would have wanted to take her in and teach her himself.
That's about it,
Elder Ming said, his throat dry from talking. Yunjin timely handed over a cup of tea, something she had prepared in her storage pouch ahead of time. Elder Ming became even more satisfied. What a thoughtful young girl. It made him want to take her in as a disciple even more.
Xiaojin,
Elder Ming now addressed Yunjin with greater familiarity.
you have an unparalleled talent in creating cultivation techniques. I have some insights in this area as well. If you don't mind, come by often, and I'll teach you slowly.
Yunjin looked at Elder Ming, her eyes filling with tears.
Elder Ming, you're so kind to me.
Elder Ming was also deeply moved. What a good child. Just a few words from him, and she was touched. Those watching outside were growing more anxious. What was even happening? Why did Yunjin suddenly start crying? Was she being scolded? Didn't seem like it. Elder Ming's expression looked rather kind.
How was the cultivation technique Yunjin created?
Zhao Wuji couldn't help asking Lin Ya. Lin Ya rolled his eyes.
Do I look like I know?
Zhao Wuji didn't believe him at all. He suspected that earlier during the entrance ceremony, Lin Ya and Yunjin had been putting on an act together just to mess with him. What kind of master wouldn't know his own disciple had created a technique? Is that even possible? Lin Ya? Lin Ya? It seems I've underestimated you all these years. This person's scheming might be deeper than I thought.
The other disciples are still waiting. I won't keep talking to you today. When it comes time to choose your technique, you don't need to go upstairs. Just wait by my side. Whatever you want, I'll fetch it for you.
Elder Ming said.
Elder Ming, I would like a few sword technique manuals.
Yunjin quickly said. Elder Ming wasn't surprised. After all, Lin Ya was a swordsmanship genius. He nodded.
All right, I'll personally pick a few good ones for you.
Thank you, Elder Ming.
Jin added.
Although the foundation establishment part of this, Xuanju was evolved by me, the original technique comes from the sect. I would like to place this technique in the manual pavilion to share it with other disciples.
You silly child.
Elder Ming was touched by Yunjin's selflessness. Although the technique is only suitable for 5-element roots, and required high comprehension, likely no one would be able to use it. Still, was a gesture of goodwill something to be judged by usefulness.
This technique has great research value. If you're willing to add it to the manual pavilion, I won't let you suffer a loss. On behalf of the sect, I'll grant you 1,000 sect contribution points.
Elder Ming said. 1,000 points. Yunjin was thrilled. This was a huge windfall. On the surface, though, she looked embarrassed.
That's too much. After all, it was Elder Ming who helped me perfect the technique.
Elder Ming laughed even more warmly.
No matter. Just keep me company often in the future.
I'll definitely visit every day. Elder Ming, don't get tired of me.
Yunjin said with a devoted expression, which Elder Ming clearly enjoyed very much. When the sound isolation barrier finally lifted, Yunjin stood obediently by Elder Ming's side, looking every bit like someone who had just earned her place at the top.
Elder Ming, my disciple's technique.
Lin Ya asked somewhat nervously. Elder Ming smiled and said,
Lin Ya, you took in another good disciple. The Xuanjue that Yunjin evolved reached the level of a high-grade, Huang-level technique. I already used 1,000 contribution points to add this cultivation technique to the sect's library. From now on, disciples with 5-element roots will be able to cultivate it.
All thanks to Elder Ming for helping me perfect it.
Yunjin said respectfully.
I only pointed out a few basic issues. Most of it was created by you.
Everyone knows that the foundation is the most important part. This disciple will never forget Elder Ming's kindness for as long as she lives.
Yunjin's face was full of gratitude.
You flatter me.
Elder Ming replied, his smile becoming even brighter. Everyone else. Can she stop acting now? For those who've seen Yunjin's true personality, this is really hard to get used to, okay? Chapter 59. You're just too honest. Ye Danxia bit down hard, her eyes filled with resentment. Once again, Yunjin stole the spotlight. And this time, she had a strong feeling that if it wasn't for Yunjin, the one to gain Elder Ming's favor would have been her. And the one nurtured by Elder Ming like a disciple would also be her. Such a scene even vaguely emerged in her mind. But all of it was ruined. She wasn't even noticed by Elder Ming. Instead, he favored Yunjin. Ye Danxia truly couldn't understand. She has a glorious celestial spirit root. In what way was she inferior to Yunjin? Yunjin was just a 5-element root cultivator. Seeing Yunjin act all innocent and clever, Ye Danxia couldn't hold back anymore. She stepped forward and said with a smile,
Xiaojing, congratulations on receiving Elder Ming's praises.
Yunjin glanced at her and replied calmly.
Elder Ming always praises diligent disciples.
Ye Danxia smiled and said,
Xiaojing, I'm really happy for you. After all, you only have a 5-element root. I used to worry that your cultivation, propped up by heavenly treasures, would eventually stagnate. But now that Elder Ming is watching over you, in another 100 years or so, you may even advance to the golden core stage.
Everyone's expressions instantly became strange. By now, everyone knew Ye Danxia and Yunjin were both masters of passive-aggressive remarks. And every time, it always seemed to be Ye Danxia who started it. But in the end, she was the one getting steamrolled by Yunjin. Now everyone looked on with the expectation of seeing a good show. They were waiting for Yunjin to fire back. But Yunjin only showed a hesitant expression, then sighed softly.
Densai, you have a celestial spirit root. Your future achievements will definitely overshadow mine. I know you're a bit upset that I reached foundation establishment earlier than you, but with my talent, Golden Core isn't even a dream I dare entertain. You'll soon surpass me?
Everyone. This humble attitude really didn't suit her. Ye Danxia's expression shifted slightly. She thought Yunjin was yielding and began to feel pleased. But Elder Ming gave a cold snort and looked at Ye Danxia with a rather unfriendly gaze. Instead of scolding her directly, he turned to Zhao Wuji.
Is this how you teach your disciples? They don't even understand the basics. In the cultivation world, there are so many heavenly treasures and pills. If only relying on those could lead to advancement. Wouldn't all the children of powerful families be top cultivators by now? Rising spiritual power is the easy part. The real challenge is the level of one's soul. Without a corresponding soul realm, no amount of heavenly treasures will help. I examined Yunjin's cultivation. Though she recently entered foundation establishment, her cultivation is incredibly stable, not the least bit superficial. Her soul realm has probably already surpassed early foundation establishment and entered mid or late stage. Only then could she control spiritual power with such ease. But your disciple,
Elder Ming didn't hold back at all.
though her talent is good, her temperament is unstable and full of jealousy. No matter how fast she cultivates spiritual power, if her soul realm can't keep up, what's the point? Zhao Wuji, once again, you've chosen the wrong person. This little disciple of yours isn't fit for the big stage.
Each word from Elder Ming was like a knife stabbing into Ye Danxia's heart. Ye Danxia's face turned deathly pale. She simply made an offhand remark, and didn't actually harm Yunjin in any way. Was it necessary for Elder Ming to treat her like this for Yunjin? She looked at Zhao Wuji, feeling aggrieved. But Zhao Wuji's face also looked extremely unpleasant. He didn't dare argue and could only respond calmly.
I'll make sure to properly discipline my disciple. Elder Ming, why don't we open the manual pavilion?
Elder Ming's words were aimed at Ye Danxia. But they were, in fact, a slap in Zhao Wuji's face. Zhao Wuji truly didn't want to continue this topic. He even started to doubt. With Ye Danxia lacking in composure, even with a celestial spirit root, could she really reach the peak? Ye Danxia saw that Zhao Wuji ignored her, and felt a trace of panic rise within her. What was going on? Her master, is he going to give up on her too? No, impossible. She has a celestial spirit root, a once-in-a-century talent. Her future is bright and dazzling. As for Yunjin, this was just her momentary glory. In the future, she would definitely be left behind. Her master surely understands this. Ye Danxia took a deep breath and forced herself to calm down. She told herself, if Elder Ming was blind, so be it. She is destined to ascend the Grand Tao, and soar to immortality. At that time, even Elder Ming would be nothing but an ant to her. Zhao Wuji already conceded, so Elder Ming coldly snorted.
Fine. I placed restrictions on the other areas of the manual pavilion. New disciples may only select from the Huang level section. You have 1 incense stick's time to choose your manuals.
After speaking, Elder Ming leisurely lit a stick of incense. The doors to the manual pavilion slowly opened. The group of new disciples didn't dare hesitate, and rushed inside one after another. Yunjin didn't move, still obediently staying by Elder Ming's side. Elder Ming glanced at her and said,
You're too honest. Earlier, if I didn't speak up for you, you wouldn't even know you were being mocked.
Yunjin looked a bit aggrieved.
Elder Ming, Densai is my best friend. She wouldn't mock me. Maybe you misunderstood?
Elder Ming became even more exasperated.
You silly girl! How can you be this naive? Remember, stay far away from that so-called good friend of yours.
Yunjin nodded in grievance. Zhao Wuji, Lin Ya, everyone else. Wait a minute. Isn't her acting ability too good? Yunjin suffering a loss. It's already a miracle if she doesn't go berserk.
You don't have any objections when I say this about your disciple, do you?
Elder Ming looked over at Zhao Wuji. What could Zhao Wuji say? He could only smile bitterly and shake his head.
Cultivation still comes down to temperament. Only someone down to earth, like Yunjin, can reach the end of the path. Otherwise, what's the use of good talent?
Elder Ming still wasn't done, and launched into another round of scolding at Zhao Wuji. Zhao Wuji could only lower his head and listen. Every time Elder Ming got a bit thirsty from lecturing, Yunjin would swiftly offer a cup of tea to moisten his throat so he could keep going. While the new disciples spent one incense, sticks time choosing manuals, Elder Ming scolded Zhao Wuji for the same incense sticks time. When the time was nearly up, Elder Ming extended his hand slightly, and all the Huang level sword manuals appeared in his hand.
Right? You can pick 3 manuals, right? These are all 15 Huang level sword techniques in the entire sect. Go ahead. Choose freely.
Elder Ming looked at Yunjing kindly. Zhao Wuji's lips trembled. He really wanted to say, "This is unreasonable." But he was afraid that once he opened his mouth, he would get scolded again, so he simply pretended not to see anything. Though, in his heart he was furious. People like Sword Elder, Elder Ming, and Elder Ling Fei held very high statuses, but they didn't normally meddle in sect affairs. Tianxing sect had always been under his sole control. But ever since Yunjing arrived, those old fellows seemed to be won over one by one. If these old fellows really wanted to protect Yunjing and Heavenly Sword Peak, it would be difficult for him to take any action. All of these changes were because of Yunjing. To resolve this, there was only one way. 3 months from now, let Ranjun kill her in a proper and open manner. Only then could everything return to the proper state. He'll restrain himself during these 3 months. Let her enjoy her arrogance while it lasts. Chapter 60, Establishing the Master-Servant Contract.
Elder Ming, I choose these 3.
Yunjin, obedient and well-behaved, selected 3 manuals. Elder Ming glanced at them briefly. They were surprisingly 3 sword techniques with completely different styles. He couldn't help but say,
Xiaojin, as a beginner in swordsmanship, it's best to choose manuals with similar styles to help with integration and understanding.
Zhao Wuji's eyes couldn't help but shift slightly. His gaze toward Yunjin even carried a hint of anticipation. Aren't you usually arrogant? Don't you love showing off? Now go on and say it out loud to Elder. Mean that you're a once-in-a-generation sword genius, and that any kind of sword manual is nothing to you. Say it. Then, he heard Yunjin's humble voice.
Elder Ming, I think that manuals with different styles could help broaden my perspective. To be honest, I've always had a dream to one day be like Elder Ming and create my own manuals. If I could truly achieve that, it would mean I haven't lived in vain.
Zhao Wuji instantly fell into despair. This Yunjing was deliberately scratching Elder Ming's itch. Elder Ming guarded the manual pavilion for years, reading every manual in the sect. In recent years, he began trying to create his own manual. His greatest achievement so far was creating a Xue-level manual. Now that Yunjin said this, he might just treat her as his personal successor.
So that's why
Elder Ming immediately smiled.
It's a good thing for young people to have such aspirations. You study first. And if there's anything you don't understand, come ask me anytime.
I'll definitely trouble Elder Ming often.
Yunjin replied respectfully. The other disciples also returned one after another with their chosen manuals. Elder Ming wasn't nearly as warm to them as he was to Yunjin. He responded casually to each and handed over the recorded copies of their selected manuals. As the group was leaving, Elder Ming still looked reluctant, repeatedly reminding Yunjin to return tomorrow. Yunjin, of course, agreed to everything. Lin Ya was utterly shocked by his disciples' performance. Once they were a bit farther away, he couldn't help lowering his voice.
You're really something. You're even better at pretending than your senior brother.
Pretending?
Yunjin disagreed.
That's sincerity. Master, you just don't understand.
Lin Ya chuckled twice, but still reminded her.
Elder Ming is well versed in all the world's texts. Since he's willing to guide you, be sure to visit often in the future. At the very least, maintain the relationship well. Later, I'll teach you more about interpersonal conduct and social dealings.
Don't worry.
Yunjin lowered her voice.
But Master, are you sure you should be the one teaching me? In such a huge sect like Teen Sect, you must have many friends, right? I bet you're amazing at socializing.
Lin Ya went silent for a moment, then said with a blank face.
Maybe you should figure it out yourself.
Back at the central square, Zhao Wuji had no more enthusiasm left. He simply announced the end of the ceremony and dismissed everyone.
What?
Yunjin quickly raised her hand. Zhao Wuji glared at her. Why don't you try being this annoying in front of Elder Ming too? But he could only hold back his anger.
What now?
The master-servant contract.
Yun Jin said directly.
Surely you haven't forgotten, Sect Master.
Zhao Wuji very much wanted to forget, but he couldn't. With a dark face, he called Gu Jinghong back. Gu Jinghong had already mentally prepared himself, but his face still turned pale. As someone under the sect master's tutelage, and with outstanding talent, he had always lived proudly and recklessly over the years. And now, just because of a single mistake, he was reduced to a servant. He was unwilling. He was resentful. But he wanted to live. Then he could only submit. Zhao Wuji expressionlessly took out 2 red cords. One was the mother cord, and the other, the son cord.
As you know, these are the mother-son cords. Lin Ya, do you want to inspect them?
Zhao Wuji asked with a hint of sarcasm. Lin Ya directly agreed.
Yes, they should be checked.
As expected, he carefully examined them before handing them back. Zhao Wuji's face looked unpleasant, but he didn't say anything more. He threw the mother cord to Yun Jin, and the son cord to Gu Jinghong. The cords flashed slightly on their wrists, then completely disappeared. Zhao Wuji then formed hand seals for the contract, sending a series of imprints into their bodies. Yun Jin calmly waited. The system did not send any warnings. It seemed like Zhao Wuji really hadn't tampered with it. With everyone watching, it was unlikely Zhao Wuji would dare do anything. Plus, with the system as added protection, this master-servant contract should be satisfactory to Yun Jin. After Zhao Wuji finished the hand seals, Yun Jin and Gu Jinghong both sensed a connection forming between them. Yun Jin blinked, then suddenly shouted sternly,
Kneel down.
Clad in red, noble and cold, Gu Jinghong instinctively dropped to the ground without resistance. As long as it was an order from the master, he had to obey unconditionally. Even if he was unwilling, Gu Jinghong couldn't defy Yun Jin's command. Yun Jin laughed.
All right, get up.
Gu Jinghong numbly got up.
For the next 3 months, Senior Brother Wu, let's have a good time.
Yun Jin said with a smile. Gu Jinghong felt a chill down his spine. Is there still time for him to choose death now? No, probably not. Under the master-servant contract, if the master didn't allow it, the servant couldn't even die if they wanted to. Despair flashed in Gu Jinghong's eyes. Can he really survive these long 3 months? Was it really worth it to end up like this? For someone like Ye Danxia? Gu Jinghong subconsciously glanced at Ye Danxia. But Ye Danxia quickly looked away. This second senior brother, now controlled by Yun Jin, was simply too embarrassing. She didn't want anything more to do with him. Gu Jinghong pressed his lips together. His expression turned completely unsightly. Now he finally understood. Everything he did was not worth it at all. But he realized it too late.
Are you satisfied now? Is there anything else?
Zhao Wuji asked coldly, clearly in a bad mood.
Nope, nothing more. Sect Master, you go do your thing. I'll head over to the Spirit Beast Pavilion later. Senior Nin still has to give me a Spirit Beast.
Yun Jin said cheerfully. Zhao Wuji grew even more annoyed. He let out a cold snort and left, flinging his sleeves. Ye Danxia quickly followed. Yun Jin looked at Gu Jinghong.
Follow my master back to Heavenly Sword Peak. I'm going to the Spirit Beast Pavilion. Clean my room thoroughly, prepare tea and fruit. If I come back and find anything out of place, you better watch yourself.
Gu Jinghong clenched his teeth.
Yes.
Yun Jin chuckled wickedly.
I love that reluctant expression of yours. Go back and wait like a good boy.
Even Nia couldn't help twitching at the corners of his mouth. Before Yun Jin came, everyone called Gu Jinghong a pervert. Now the small pervert met the big pervert. But Gu Jinghong completely deserved it, and Lin Ya had no sympathy for him.
Xiao Jin, when you go to the Spirit Beast Pavilion, mind your manners a bit.
Lin Ya reminded, then took Gu Jinghong away. Senior Lin specifically gave Yun Jin permission, so only Yun Jin can go. Compared to humans, he preferred dealing with spirit beasts. If anyone else tries to go, they can only be driven out. The Spirit Beast Pavilion was nearby, and Yun Jin quickly arrived at the entrance. 2 disciples were standing guard at the entrance. Seeing Yun Jin approach, they moved aside to make way. Chapter 61. The Abandoned Iron-Eating Beast. A disciple led Yun Jin inside. As she walked, Yun Jin recalled what she knew from her past life about Lin Fei. Senior Ning was born with the ability to understand beast language. As he grew older and began cultivating, he slowly learned how to communicate with spirit beasts. Because of this talent, although his cultivation aptitude was average, with the assistance of many spirit beasts, his early path in cultivation was smooth and successful. But later on, his low aptitude eventually became a limitation to his progress. His cultivation ultimately stalled at the peak of the soul transformation stage. Advancing any further became nearly impossible. In her previous life, Yunjin didn't interact much with Yingfei. She only vaguely heard that on the night of the demon invasion, he was harmed by them, while trying to protect the spirit beasts in the spirit beast pavilion. Even the guardian spirit beast of Tianxing sect was gravely wounded and on the brink of death. It seemed that afterward, Zhao Wuji took control of these spirit beasts. As for what eventually happened to them, Yunjin dared not imagine. Lingfei truly loved these spirit beasts. While he was still around, the beasts could live freely if they wanted, and if they wished to choose a master, he would help select someone with a proper character. But without Ningfei, these spirit beasts likely no longer enjoyed such freedom. These thoughts only flashed briefly through her mind. Yunjin soon arrived at the first spirit beast area, for sea-refining spirit beasts. In this area, Lingfei was currently occupied. These sea-refining spirit beasts were previously affected by beast-luring powder. After going berserk, they were left in a weakened state. Lingfei was going around observing each beast's condition, then treating them accordingly.
This water spirit rabbit is timid by nature. After being greatly frightened this time, add soul calming grass to its meals for the next few days. Remember the specific ratio.
As Lingfei spoke, a disciple beside him recorded seriously. Then came the next beast.
These few flame burst mice already have irritable temperaments. Now that their nature had been completely triggered, they may become especially aggressive in the next few days. Keep them isolated, and their food also needs some adjustments, so take note.
Every time Lingfei passed a spirit beast, he would carefully give instructions.
Senior Noon gets very focused when caring for spirit beasts. Why don't you wait for a bit? I'll go inform him,
the disciple said. Yunjin shook her head.
No need. I'll wait for the elder to finish. I don't have anything else to do anyway, so waiting here is fine.
The disciple didn't further insist and just waited with her. This area housed sea-refining spirit beasts, and due to the previous incident, they all seemed weak and dispirited. Yunjin's ears were filled with the weak cries of spirit beasts. Looking at them and thinking of that pervert, Gu Jinghong, Yunjin couldn't help but snort coldly. Just wait. Even if it's only for the sake of these poor spirit beasts, she was going to make Gu Jinghong pay over the next 3 months.
Ding!
At that moment, the system notification sounded.
New language detected. Would you like to simplify it?
New language. Yunjin paused and immediately checked the system. On the detection interface, a list of spirit beast languages had appeared.
Water spirit rabbit language, beginner. Requires 5 simplification attempts. E. Flame burst mouse language, beginner. Requires 5 simplification attempts. Bright light beast language, beginner. Requires 5 simplification attempts.
And so on. Yunjin counted 35 types of spirit beast languages available for learning.
Senior brother, how many types of sea-refining spirit beasts are there in this area?
Jing asked.
35 in total.
The disciple answered immediately. Yunjin's eyes lit up. So, she could learn the language of every spirit beast here. However, there are so many types of spirit beasts in the world. If it took 5 simplification attempts to learn just one language at the beginner level, wouldn't it be hard to keep up? Fortunately, when Yunjin scrolled to the end of the interface, she saw a line of text.
Learn the languages of 10 sea-refining spirit beasts to unlock beginner beast speech. Beginner beast speech allows 100% communication with sea-refining spirit beasts. Limited communication with foundation establishment beasts. Higher-ranked beasts require advanced beast speech.
Yunjin felt relieved. Spirit beasts in this world are very powerful. If she could gain their help, her strength would significantly increase. So having a spirit beast companion was a must for Yunjin. This made the beginner beast speech extremely important. Yunjin glanced at her remaining simplification attempts. Originally, her simplification attempts were running low. However, because of the multiple back and forth during the entrance ceremony, she gained a lot of emotion points. She also earned some more from visiting the manual pavilion. Especially, Ye Danxia, this female lead alone provided her with nearly 2,000 emotion points. A true contributor of emotion points. How should one treat their top supporter? She should treat Ye Danxia to a meal in return. Besides Ye Danxia, all the disciples in the sect were gathered today. Since sect disciples on average have higher cultivation than cultivators in the market, they also provided more emotion points. Combined with a few other major donors, like Ye Danxia and Zhao Wuji, this wave of harvest actually surpassed her previous public display at the market. By the end of the day, she had gained 20,000 emotion points and 200 simplification attempts. Since beginner beast speech required 50 simplification attempts, Yunjin used them without hesitation. She randomly picked 10 spirit beasts and learned their languages. After she mastered the 10th beast language, in an instant, the world in her ears changed. Previously, all she could hear was the painful howls of the spirit beasts. But now, she can understand the specific meaning.
Woo woo, my head hurts so much. Did someone hit me? Was it that rotten iron-eating beast? It must have been.
Why does my waist ache too? Did the iron-eating beast secretly step on me?
Why is the iron-eating beast acting so well-behaved today? Is it pretending?
She's curious. Who exactly is this iron-eating beast? Why did 9 out of 10 spirit beasts' complaints involve them? Yunjin quietly observed. She quickly locked onto the iron-eating beast huddled in a corner. Iron-eating beasts were relatively rare among spirit beasts. There was only one in this entire group. It was curled up in the corner, looking weak and lifeless. As it heard the complaints from the others, it angrily patted its little paws. Hey! It was affected by the beast luring powder too, and it's really miserable. Alright. Clearly it was some bad guy who hurt them, and yet these dumb beasts were blaming it. Seeing its pitiful look, Yunjin couldn't help but laugh. The name iron-eating beast sounded fierce, but it looked nothing like that. Instead, it was soft and adorably silly. What startled Yunjin even more was its appearance, that was exactly the same as an animal called a panda from one of the worlds she visited during her quick transmigration missions. In that world, iron-eating beasts were considered national treasures and treated like royalty. But in this world, iron-eating beasts seem no different from other spirit beasts. Noticing Yunjin's gaze, the nearby disciple whispered,
Although iron-eating beasts are rare, their combat and defensive powers are average. When people pick spirit beasts, they prioritize combat ability, so it's often left behind. One time, a disciple picked it, but after 10 days, returned it. Senior Noon was so angry he banned that disciple from ever coming near the spirit beast pavilion again. But the iron-eating beast seemed to be affected psychologically. Since then, its temperament changed and became a bit mischievous.
Chosen, then abandoned. Yunjin's brows furrowed slightly. Raising a spirit beast is a very serious matter. Once both sides choose each other, they become lifelong companions. And a companion should never be abandoned.